Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another Facebook and YouTube Live. I am so excited to have Lady Holiday with me here today. Lady Holiday, legally born as Holly Francis, holds a BFA and more importantly is an entertainer and leadership consultant. So we're about to have fun tonight, y'all. We're about to
Yeah.
have fun. We got an entertainer. Lady Holly. Lady Holly is a writer, public speaker, and is among the new emerging socially engaged spiritual life coaches. Her practice is Know Thy Sex to Know Thyself. She is the author of a line of semi-autobiographical erotic novellas called A Big Girl's Bedtime Books. She is also an award-winning NDRE soul artist. So, I did not know this that you have a erotic novellas. So I hello Unc Life. Hello to those who are coming on. As you're coming on, say hello. Let us know you're here. So I used to read. I love to read, but I only read one series of eroticas by Mary B. Morrison,
Okay.
also known Honey B. Morrison. And can you believe I have not read any of Zane's books?
Wow.
And I know. So I got work to do. But
All right.
now I hear, now I see yours. Bedtime stories for big kids, big kids.
Big grown, not big because you may have a few extra COVID-19 pounds. Big because you're grown. You're grown
Right.
and sexy.
Grown is sexy. I'm
Hmm.
a big girl now.
Yes.
Hello, Martin. Good vibes, good vibes. So awesome. Thank you guys for coming. I was just telling Lady Hollywood, um, that I'm crazy because I was supposed to have a root canal today and still was scheduling my live. Like, okay, but I went to the dentist and it just didn't happen. It wasn't supposed to happen today, so it didn't. So here I am, and I'm glad because I think I wouldn't have been able to be here tonight. So everything happens as it is supposed to. I trust in that. I trust in that. So yes. So I'm so excited. We're going to be talking about harnessing your own pleasure. And this is a topic that's so near and dear to me because this was one of the things that I've struggled with prior to becoming a tantric therapist. I grew up, with Catholic parents and all of that Catholic guilt. And then, when I left Catholic church and I started going to Baptist church, I've been to Pentecostal. Then I went to a non-denominational church, but I was going like 5 times a week. I was really into it, right?
Hmm.
I was very, very religious. And I was going to Bible study. I was in a drama ministry, like all of that. Okay. So, um, but then I realized later that I had so much guilt and it really just stopped me from being able to connect to myself, to my body, and just touch myself. It felt so bad. I remember the first time that I tried to touch my yoni. It was like, oh, like it didn't feel good. I was like, this doesn't feel good, you
Wow.
know? And so it was a lot of work to get to the point where I could masturbate, where I could self explore
Hmm.
and self please, So let me ask you, I just kind of went on and told a little story about my background and how much challenges I had with just having my own power, my own pleasure. So how did you get into this first and foremost before we even go into you wrote a series of eroticas. Like, how did that happen? How did you start writing? How did you start working with sexuality, teaching sexuality?
Hmm. So I have 5 children. So my children range in age from 34 to 15, and I have a set of twins in there. So as I tell somebody, sperm lives for 3 to 4 days. Be careful what you wish for, because they're fraternal.
Right.
And I have what I would call a voracious sexual appetite, and so I didn't understand early on how I could be on one side of the house have this high sex drive, but yet everything that I was taught was like, you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do that. And not in a religious form. My mother, by the time my mom was on her own journey, she had me, so I was the youngest, so a product of her kind of sexual and personal evolution through self exploration of herself, and then getting remarried. So I caught my mom at a different phase of her life versus where my siblings had met her, and then my elders. So imagine I was the fifth generation growing up in my household of very down home. Most of my relatives in the house were actually from Ohio, and my lineage on my mother's side, we got our 40 acres and a mule. So I had relatives who had been college educated, who were absolutely, Jack and Jill, and you just did things a certain way, and we were, black middle class, and or what I would say, diaspora middle class, because we were Latina, and so that we all of our cultures were married. So certain stuff, children are not seen; they're seen and not heard, and your lessons
Mhm.
and your formative stuff. So it was my abuelita who was the best, because she was very much in retirement, and she took me all over the world. And I often call her Auntie Mae. She reminds me of Rosalind Russell in the original Auntie Mae. Let's get the B.O. Like she
Mhm.
came in, she would fly in, she would, talk about her adventures. She would read all 7 novels on the New York Times bestseller list. She taught us how to walk, how to talk, how to set a table, like all these formative things. And she also was married to my grandfather for a very short period of time. And I would spend kind of summers there. And one day he was in the bathtub. And people always find this story weird about me being able to go in his bathtub, but he had a tray that had everything on there that he needed. And he said to me at 13, he goes, "Don't get married. Take a lover, but don't get married." And I couldn't figure that out for the life of me,
Wow.
until later on. And so it wasn't until my marriage was on the rocks, and I started to go. I was learning about massage. It was actually my husband, or my ex-husband, and I were, because he had great hands, and so I was trying to encourage him to go to the Sweetest Institute, and a good friend of his that wound up going. I had already been, and then I wanted to explore. I had a couple opportunities to sit and, meet with Nicole Didone and her kind of, as she was rolling out. Um,
Yes, I
her-
love her book. Yeah.
Oming. And so by the time I got to New York, of course, I was knee deep in a divorce and knee deep in my orgasmic meditation certification.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until we had agreed to that we were no longer going to be married, and that it was okay, that we were totally physically separated, that I then took a lover and had and did the work around my orgasmic meditation, and realized that I had been suppressing all this sexual tension.
Mhm.
And I was at the dinner table, and my daughters were having this conversation on their cell phones, and I was just like, and then my son, and they kind of all got into this rhythm, and I just said, "Wow, we've got to do better. We're going to lose
Right.
intimacy and touch if we don't do something about it now." And that's when I started to educate, kind of do the formative education. I had already been, because I'm an organizational development strategist, and so I had already been a coach for many many executives. And
Mhm.
then in life, because of the way my village is, which is awesome, shout out to my village people, I was already a coach. So to be then religion and spirituality, once you understand where you fit in that mix, and where your Christ consciousness sits,
Mhm.
versus your knowing or remembrance. So again, me going to the motherland, and I've been educated and going to school there for a portion of time, but going back in my adult years to help African people, and going to the caves and going to on pilgrimages, to really understand the priestess role in society, why women were taken out of the stories, and how that didn't make sense to me, having read the Quran, having studied the law of time, having like certain stuff just didn't compute. And even now to my zodiac, trying to adopt, not trying.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I'm trying, because I'm not alchemizing that I'm getting there yet. To go from the tropical to the sidereal horoscope. makes more sense because I follow a 13 moon calendar. So if I follow the 13 moon calendar, then how can I subscribe to a tropical zodiac?
Right.
So 12-step program. I'm on step 7. So that's how I stepped into it, and then I wrote all my music, and my books are all about these, not fantasizations, because they've been real love, like they've been real experiences. And so to write love songs and to sing them, and then to write books about, your decision-making process when you're faced with sexual entanglements, and whether they become sexual or not, and how you as a woman get to assert your power or not assert your power in that situation or the scenario, depending upon what it is that you like. But absolutely, getting right with me to know what I actually did like, and what I did want to tolerate, and what I did want to learn about. And so that's how Know Thyself to Know Thyself happened. And then it wasn't until COVID, after I had done my speakers reel, and I'm getting myself larger than life here, and COVID sat us all down. And I was like, wow, I kind of need people to talk to. Like, I need people.
Right.
You spend all this money to learn how to talk to the people on camera, and now you can't talk to the people.
Mm-hmm.
And then Clubhouse was born, and I can honestly tell you that if I had, I have stock. I had stock in it after it got announced what it was. But if I had anything to do with the birthing part of what Clubhouse was, I can tell you that I was part of that manifestation, because I said it to my mentor, who's watched me throughout my career, and who's an absolute gem. I love you. And he was just like, why don't you build it? Get some Black girls who code, and build a technology that will allow you to do X, Y, and Z. And sure enough, Clubhouse was born. And I was able to, frame out and then revamp my kind of the whole practice, because it literally was really just called Know Thy Sex. And I would do the other stuff later, versus actually, putting a stake in the ground and saying, know thy sex to know thyself, because there's specific, it wasn't until I was interviewed for something else, and I literally questioned about how I would take women through this kind of rite of passage after they have experienced trauma, or after you've taken them on, or they need wound cleaning. Like, what would I prescribe? And I was like, my practice is exactly what I do, is I take you through that piece of it. And I was like, the sexuality component is so important, because we lie to ourselves on so many levels, that if we can be honest up front about where our joy is and where our pleasure are, and that they particularly are not always simultaneously intertangled, but when we can define where that is, then it's easier to get to the end goal. It's easier.
And I think for a lot of people, that's a challenge, right? That's a huge challenge. They don't know what feels good. They're not connected to their bodies. They don't know their bodies,
And then they don't know their partner's body, even worse.
And they don't know their partner's body. So true. So true.
How can you have take a lover and then not have enough strength and courage to get over you're in your root and your sacral, and then you're actually probably in your crown chakra, trying to control it, and you really need to be in your throat chakra, like, I enjoy X, Y, and
Z. Yes,
I would like,
That's so beautiful. It's just beautiful to hear you say that, because it's true. It's true. And, I've had so many women come. I've met a lot of different women who also, they don't know their bodies, so, like, to the point where they can't even give themselves pleasure.
Right.
And they're like, no, my man can give me pleasure, or my partner. And I'm like, it's important. Okay, that's fine. You want your partner to give you pleasure, but how can you putting so much pressure on your partner to give you pleasure, because now he has to discover, or she has to discover everything.
Right.
And it's like, and it's okay for you to self-explore and understand and know what feels good, so that you can help guide them, and it really honestly takes a lot of pressure off of them, because sometimes people are like, oh my God, I have all this pressure to please this person, but I'm trying all these different things I know, and it's not working. So what do I do? And it's so important. I think so many people have this taboo about
Good word.
touching themselves, owning their pleasure, right? And if anyone went through similar to what I went through, with the whole Catholic guilt and all of that, and trying to be this good girl, then it's
keep your leg closed until you're married. Now open them. What?
exactly. You got to wear
Do it
dresses
now.
below your knees and all of that. And so it's funny. Uncle Life said, I love that. Good thing he had a backsliding Catholic mother. So, real quick, I do want to say, as people are coming on, thank you. Hello to those coming on. Hello, Goddess. Hello, Lauren. Hello, Uncle Life. Feel free to leave comments if you guys have any questions. Feel free to ask. I really love this to be interactive. So Uncle Life did make a comment. I feel a lot of people are very afraid to discuss this essential part of life. And I commend y'all for discussing the topic in an educational manner. Thank you. Thank you.
Please, I just got back. So as you know, we just got finished doing Venetia Jones's sacred ceremony, and the topic was sacred sexuality. Like this is, and we just at the end we actually said we're going to need a part 2 to this because it's so big, but it's so much fun to spend the weekend in community, couples, same different couples across the land that we blessed and kept in a high vibration. But it was to break down stigma and to break down again that place of shame that the church in an interesting way has put on folks because of the way that it's delivered. I think that whole kind of you're not supposed to go out and fornicate and all those messages,
and not even just the church. Just social media in general. There's such a stigma and taboo, and this is why I do this. So I have these lives every Wednesday. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe. And hit that notification bell. Every Wednesday, I'm interviewing different people because it's important to have these topics. It's important to have them in an educational manner, So that's my goal here, to reach as many people as possible, to get rid of the stigmas, get rid of taboos, and to have as many sexperts or people who are, educated in this field to be able to come on and discuss. So let me ask you, in terms of owning your pleasure, right? How do you harness that? Like, what's some of the things? So again, we started talking about how, it's difficult for a lot of women to self-explore. What's some of the things that you might have seen? What are some of the things that you might have recommended for people to do, specifically women? Because, even though there are men that have some difficulties with masturbation and things like that, but predominantly, I feel like it's more women who have difficulties with self-exploration, with masturbating, with being able to have orgasms. Most men, it's a lot easier. One, because the genitals is external, right? For women is internal, and women have more trauma, more guilt and stuff like that, right? For men, it's a little bit, again, men have things as well. But in general, if we can talk in general terms, men are like, oh, go out, you could go out and do whatever you want. Just wear a condom. But with women, it's like, no, don't do that. You're a hoe. They make you feel ashamed. This stuff comes along.
Lies. First of all, and you're right. It is because of the difference in the genitalia. But, so for it's trending right now. There's this sex therapist or coach who's in the California area, and she's really breaking it down. And she was just like, it takes 18. I've always said it's anywhere from 0 to 40 minutes for the vagina to get warmed up. Like, for the clitoris, and people don't even realize that the clitoris is a whole thing, right? And so for it to even get to the point of getting aroused so that it's even good and juicy, right? Let's be clear. What I introduce women to is a whole mirror. Go find it. Go take a look at it.
Yes.
For men, it is the same thing. To really notice the pieces of your yoni, of your lingam, right, or your penis. I've realized I like the word dick, but a lot of people don't like that word. So, but to get comfortable with the word around, whether you're going to say genitalia, whether you're going to say your whatever you're going to call it, be comfortable with that word, and that's what you call it. Normalize that in your household, in your brain.
Right.
Take a mirror out and really look at it so that you can understand what it's doing. And so when it's not doing what you need it to do, you also have a mental note of what it looked like when it was healthy, when it's thriving. And then you'll take care of it. I think it's like when you buy a cheap store-bought bag, right? That's like just in the store. You don't take care of it as much as when you go to Louis Vuitton and you go and you have the whole experience and you get in the bag and you bring it home and you hold it sacred. Hold your whole yoni sacred. Hold your lingam sacred. It's part of you. So just like you exfoliate your lips, take care of your vajayjay. You need to be oiling those lips and making sure it's all right. And stop sticking stuff in it that you don't, if you don't know if your own pH is off balance. What are you sticking up your yoni? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And
so go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, and with the for me, it's like tampons and all that. Like, you have to give it a break. You have to not wear underwear. You have to allow it to breathe and to get air and to get light. Nothing is in darkness.
I hope people are hearing this. I hope people are listening to you, because this is so important. It's so funny because I don't wear underwear. Right. The only time I'm wearing underwear is if I'm on my period.
Hold on. Amen. Hallelujah. Let's give a high five.
Yes. Yes. And I have a friend of mine who's always like making fun of me. She's like, we'll be out, and if I'm on my period, I have my underwear. She'll like touch my butt, like just the offender. She's like, oh, you got underwear on today. And I was like, yeah, why? Well, you know why? She's like, you never wear. I don't wear bra. No,
I love you. I wish I could get there.
Oh yeah, I mean,
my kids are there. My daughters are there. No, I'm there. I just came. I came from. I'm in City Hall during the day, so I had to have on a whole bra. I don't think they're ready for nipples getting hard during the day.
Right.
They're not ready.
And I like what you brought up. Because that's very important to harnessing our own pleasure. Right.
Yep.
It's taking care of our yoni, taking care of the genitals. For men too, right? Just like, Louis Vuitton, you got to take care of it. And that's one of the things. I have a, self-care ritual. I do yoni steam. I have a yoni steam seat. I'm always doing that. And I remember at one point, I had a friend who was like, you bought these things. And she's like, here, take one. Because I was about to have sex with somebody. She's like, here, take one. It makes, help it smell really good. And I was looking at the suppository, and I was looking at it. I'm like, let me see the box. And I'm like reading the box.
The honey, the V honey
things, huh?
That V honey stuff.
I don't remember what it was. It was a vaginal suppository.
Okay.
And I'm like reading it, and I was like, I don't understand. I don't know what any of this stuff is.
And I'm like,
huh?
I said, go eat a strawberry.
Right.
A pineapple.
I'm not putting this inside of me. Like, we really don't need to put any of this inside of me. And so I was like, I do yoni steam. So Unk Life, yoni steam it's herbs. And you just put it like in a little pot with some hot water, and the herbs go up. You're sitting on it, and the steam goes up, and it's getting inside of your good old yoni. Men can do it too. They do have yoni steam for men.
We figured that out. We finally figured that out. Golden Rose Yoni, shout out. We figured that out because Nico Suave was like, shout out to him. He was like, can I get the gooch steamed? And we were like, no, but you can actually do a lingam steam. It's just different. It's a different process, and yes, you can. And honey, as I tell people, I was like, why wouldn't you want to smell like a sweet smelling cup of tea? Get the what? Especially put those raspberries in that mixture those herbs.
I use herbs because I have been dealing with fibroids, so I use herbs specifically for that. But I'll put some rose petals in there, chamomile, and oh my God, like after I steam, I'd be like, ooh, it smells so good. Like
I'm in the road, like,
down there and touch myself. And it makes me taste sweeter too.
Yes.
And so, and not only that, right? So there's a lot of different things too, like what you're eating. And like you said, I love what you said, get a mirror, look at it. On my retreats, I lead these retreats, and I work with women too to look at themselves.
Yes.
On my retreats, I carry a mirror. I just did a retreat in August.
Yes.
And I give the ladies nice, cute little mirrors. Actually, I think I have one in here too. Mm-hmm. And I give them little mirrors, and we have them look at it. I actually have it here. I got mine. So there's like two little ones. It's like double.
Yep.
And this is similar to what I gave my ladies on this last retreat.
Sweet.
Sometimes I give little bigger ones, but and I have us look, and then you know the oming too, like that's important. There's like so many different things, right? What you eat as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I make sure to get a lot of water. I always have my little water bottle. And I do this because it's easier to control how much I'm to get my 2 liters in, right? Like I know 4 of these is 2 liters. So I just do that and just sip all day. You know, and again, starting from the fibroids, I cut out meat. Now I'm not completely vegan, but in the beginning I was until I started getting better. And then I eat meat every now and then. But that made a difference. Like I could feel a difference in my yoni from when I was eating meat and when I stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So the meat, eating a lot of the meat, a lot of the greasy, the fried foods, I would be so tired, no energy. And then so, you know, when you're tired and no energy, you can't even self-please. Like you don't have that energy. You don't feel good. So, you know, to have more pleasure, this is one of the things that I teach. You have to be healthy. Yeah. You have to feel good. You have to have great energy, you know? So all of these things are important in being able to self-please as well. It's not just, okay, I have to start masturbating, but what are you putting into your diet?
Right.
Are you getting to know your body? You know, are you speaking to your yoni? Are you asking your yoni questions?
First off, did you name your yoni? My yoni's name is Isis. You better get a name. You better have a phone a friend. You need to get a one-on-one relationship with the box. Like, let's be clear about naming and claiming. Like, I really want you to think about if Clinique has a 1, 2, 3 step program to get your face right. What do you need to do to take care of your vajayjay? And I love that word from Grey's Anatomy. Like when she was like, "Do not look at my vajayjay," and it is, but it's more than that, right? So that is everything that you were imparted or implanted with, from a lineage perspective, in terms of your eggs from your family were implanted in your womb. Like, if you don't hold it sacred, there's so much knowledge in you taking back the power and learning the power of your yoni, right? So we, you know, our club is called Yoni Verso Katam, and you know, that whole thing, it wasn't just about women having yonis, but this duality of feminine, divine, and masculine energy, but more so to celebrate in our Wombs Day Wednesday, which is, you know, Happy Wombs Day, is important to us to get the conversation normalized around the table, because we act like we have problems with a breastfeeding mother. We act like we have problems with seeing, you know, pubic hair and not pubic hair. And it's like, you know, I understand pornography has taken us to a different level, but everybody doesn't, you know, I don't necessarily want to look like a prepubescent child. Maybe I want hair. Maybe I don't want to get hair bumps. Maybe I don't want a Brazilian wax because it's painful, quite frankly. And maybe I don't want
I live in Brazil. I get the Brazilian waxes here.
No. And it depends on what's good for you, but again, because we're so afraid to have conversations, we can't even get to a normalized conversation around the issue. We just think because they're, you know, I have one of my clients, he can't even have sex with a light-skinned woman because he doesn't like the two-tonedness around her and in her private parts.
Wow.
I was like, you need to stop watching porn immediately. Like,
yes.
I was like, a lot of people are not gonna go bleach their anus and their vaginal area just to have sex with you. No, I know I'm not doing that.
Uncle Life said, I like that thing hairy. You like a jungle down there, right?
Well, you think about it in terms of body parts, right? Sometimes people don't realize is the hair, you know, pornography, right? This whole moment of we're going to squirt all day. Everybody doesn't squirt. The Skene's glands are not, or orgasm. And so that is absolutely a depletion of the water and the juiciness of the vagina. So if you went through all that trouble to get the vajayjay heated up, and the guy on the Instagram video goes, I guess I ain't never had no done pussy, and I cracked up because he was like, yeah, because you guys because men are usually into a self moment of self orgasm versus deliberate orgasm, and allowing the partner to get a couple off before you get there is going to change your sex life like this.
hmm So I do want to say something on what you said. Now, yes. So I do believe that everyone can ejaculate in terms of women. The skin gland is where the ejaculation comes out of. Now, does every woman ejaculate? No, but I think every woman can, and it's about doing the work so that they can get there and ejaculate if that's what they want.
Well, right, versus orgasm versus I meant so like yes.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, yeah.
Sorry,
so,
not mine.
The thing is, yeah, and the clitoris itself, its only purpose is for orgasm. Its only purpose. It has no other purpose. So yeah, so that means that our bodies is for pleasure. It's for pleasure. And so we can explore that, right? We can, your son, we can explore that, right? And so many of us are just afraid to, or, just feel bad about it. But there's so many different types of orgasms we could have first and foremost. Over 14. I mean, we could have nipple orgasms. We could have cervix orgasms. We could have throat, cervix orgasms, throat orgasms. G-spot orgasms. There's a point A, point U, like G, there's so many different orgasms that we could have. It's just a matter of exploring.
There's so much fun doing it.
And having fun doing it. There's so many different toys that you can use as well. Now, I know that there's some people who are against toys, and that's okay.
I'm against them. I'm not a fan because of how many, you've got all these nerve endings on your fingers and on the clitoris. It's like, so I don't necessarily need a toy for me personally.
Right.
I test them out I shy away from the word sexpert now, having had this course at NYU, right? And the professor was like, sex is a behavior. You cannot become an expert because everybody's different. And I was like,
everybody's different. True.
That part. I was like, that part.
Yes.
And so I don't want to be an expert because I love the fact that I get to continue to explore this, right? So I want to learn daily. Show me some tricks. But now everybody, we were talking about this weekend, the suction toys. And then
the Satisfyer Pro.
Yes. So everybody's playing with these and I'm like, all right. I was like,
I love it. Lauren says my wrist hurts from working on the computer all day. I need the toys. Right?
That's right. So, no, I have repetitive strain injury. I feel you.
Yeah, I feel you. I do use toys. I love toys. I love toys.
Okay.
But what I do say to people is you have to vary it out. Like you can't just use toys.
Yeah.
Right? You have to use your hands because if you're just using toys, then yes, at some point you can become desensitized.
Yeah.
So what I always say is to vary it up. So you use your hands sometimes. Maybe use a Satisfyer Pro. Maybe use a dildo. So just then there's the rose. There's so many.
That got critical acclaim this weekend.
Yes. Everybody's raving about the rose, and I have not tried the rose yet. So that's next on my list.
Mine is here. I guess maybe tonight I can pull it out.
Right.
I ordered it.
So I think Unk Life is asking you, and then there's another question by Zen Vibe. Okay. But Unk Life is asking you, so are you a sex philosopher?
Again, I keep it to spiritual life coach, and my practice is know thy sex to know thyself. I don't like titles like that for me, because again, I'm learning every day and I'm culturally working. So the women that I work with behind the veil, so a lot of Muslim women and a lot of trauma, where there's genital mutilation. So I work with so many different women culturally, people who are, again, from that religious side, who are in their Ifa and, living and subscribing to so many different practices that, getting to your pleasure point is very important. So I don't subscribe that I am a philosopher at all. I work with the individual to get to the honesty part. So my goddess is Wonder Woman. I am Wonder Woman, right? If you can get to the honesty part, then you can get to the joy and the pleasure, and take off this stigma of shame. And shout out to Lucia Pavone, because she goes, we were on a Clubhouse and she said, the orgasm is the breath of God.
Yes.
You ain't never lied.
It is. Let me tell you. So I give tantric massage, and I remember one time I was in Bali, and I was giving a tantric massage in Bali, and the I was giving it to this lady, and during the massage, she started saying, "Oh God, oh God," and I said, "You see how spiritual this is? So religious, you're connecting to God," and she just laughed.
But that's
So
how I masturbate. Like first thing in
yeah,
the
like
morning,
I
I
tell
balance.
you,
Hmm.
yeah, and I say that I'm like, this really does bring you closer to God. It
Yeah,
brings you closer. And
yeah.
people just they don't understand it. They don't see that. And it's like, and it's funny because this lady wasn't spiritual, she wasn't religious, she
Mhm.
wasn't religious. And she was saying that. And so when I brought that up, when I said that to her, she laughed. And I purposely said that during the time, right? Just to get a click like in her, to be
Mhm.
like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I just told her I'm not religious, but now, oh, God is coming out of my mouth. So it's so interesting.
Yeah, no, affirmations, like when I'm doing my affirmations, they turn me on. And so because I understand the power of manifestation through orgasm, why would I want to talk about anything else? I don't want to talk about anything that's not serving. Even to my playlists when I'm having sex are all music that is delightful. The food that I eat is I am all about myself exploration in making this world a better place. And so the things that I drink, the things that I eat, everything is a deliberate choice,
Mm-hmm.
down to my orgasm. And so in the morning, after I balance my brain, I literally then do affirmations. I don't need pornography to get me off. I need a thought. I need, potentially a song or a vibration to get it to the place where I'm in this kind of, again, that's why we kind of retitled it to euphoric orgasmic meditation on EOM, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm like in that EOM and that vibration of just chanting and listening to my music is like, that shit is sexy as fuck. Like that
Yes.
gets me to the pleasure principle times 90. And then with a partner, that tantra, that level of eye gazing and intimacy moment when you're sitting, oh my God, that is some of the best sex I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's so funny because now, like, I don't want to have sex with just anybody. I don't want to have
You?
just any regular sex. And I was never into porn. I remember at like 15, I had a really good friend. I would go over to his house, to hang out or whatever. He was like a really good friend. And he would put on porn. And I would sit there and I'm like it did nothing. I was like, why is he even watching this? Why
Right.
is he putting this on? And I don't know what his goal was, but I would go over there and he'd put it on and I'm like, okay.
You trying
And
to
he just
seduce.
never ever did anything for me. Never. Um, and you learn and now that I've started working with tantra and sexuality, I realize even more so how much people really don't learn about sex through porn. They learn all the wrong stuff. They have these
Right.
expectations that this is how sex is going to be. And like you said, sex is always going to be different. It's going to be messy sometimes.
Yeah.
You're going to have sex and you're going to fart, or you're going to, like, all kinds of things are going to happen. Sometimes the two of you might not really connect gel, and another time you both make gel really well. Like, you just never know. And so I like that how you say, how can you be a sexpert when every single person is different and every single time is going to be different.
Oh yeah.
And so for me, I've gotten to the point with through this work that I want to be conscious of what I'm doing. I want to be conscious of what energy I'm exchanging. So I'm not going to just let anybody inside of me, you know.
And
So the same way that we're talking about, yeah, being careful what you put in, the same thing, whether it's vaginal suppositories, or somebody you're having sex with, we have to be conscious and aware of what we're doing. And when we're consciously deciding what goes into us, we have more pleasure. Our yoni or our lingam responds to us
oh yeah.
better.
There is
But I
nothing
didn't
more
want to get some out.
there is nothing more sexy than so first of all, I'm picky now. And so like even down to your dental hygiene, because my bacteria lives in your mouth. And so if I'm eating and doing all this stuff so that you have this experience, right? I'm deliberate about what I'm doing. So I know how my pussy tastes. I taste it. I know what it tastes like. And
Mhm.
so if I'm doing all this stuff and you are not taking care of your personal hygiene, how do you think that you're gonna lay with me? I can't. I won't do it. Like there's just I don't need it. Like for me, I'm not a. I'm an omnivore because I still travel too far, too many places in the world where some days I'll be like, oh, we all are bathing in that water, not eating that vegetable. Okay, fry that part.
Right.
There's some days I'm like, I
Yes.
think that I go to places where that veggies are not going to be the main part of the course, and so I need to learn how to understand yams and legumes and some sort of protein substance, which probably will be meat in certain countries, right?
Right. Like here in Brazil, it is so hard to get a vegetarian meal.
Oh, I know.
In Brazil, almost every restaurant you go to is going to be meat, potatoes, rice, and pasta.
Filler food, like filler food. So it's, and because again that you know, versus it should be more fruits. So for me, I think I would probably be a fruitarian. But it's like when you think about it, even down to so now later in life, you know, you hit a corner, and then again with that learning, I'm now into fire play. My kink.
Oh, what is that?
My kink side is she is a whole girl.
Can you tell us about that fire play?
Fire play is getting the fire wands on your booty, on your arms. You have to have a dom who. So because I'm such a control freak, you know, I'm on Front Street. I don't tell lies. So I had for during COVID and after I did my experiment on how many men I could possibly date at one time. And so I took a lineup.
I need to do that.
I took a lineup of five lovers, right? So 5 lovers, and it was really, really cool. And one of them turned me into, got me into BDSM in a way that was sexy. So for me, Shibari is amazing.
Yes.
But Shibari with a, artful dom. And I'm a sapiophile. So now you got to talk dirty to me, baby. And I can actually start my own ropes. So
nice.
And then, because I control so much, it's okay for me to be a sub. It's absolutely turns me on, like to be a sub. And so fire play is just that, it's that hot and cold, that rush of electric on your most sensitive nerve endings, like right here, on your behind, around your back, and then it's off, and you're like, so it's like that, and it's like when you first go out in the snow, or when you dip your toe and the pool is cold. So that's the other side of it. So ice play and fire play, we do it in tandem.
I would love the fire play. Ice play, no. Fire play.
Well, the reason why we do both is because you want the 2 different senses. So, like, I don't want fire on my nipples. I like the ice on my nipples, though. And it's
but I have an aversion to cold. Like, I really, really, even when I go into like the, like the spas where they have the hot and the cold. You're supposed to go in a cool pool and then in the steam room or sauna. I just be in a sauna. And then I get out. I'm like, okay, let me just let myself cool off. And I go back in. I don't even get in the pool. I'm not too cold. Too cold. But I've never done Shibari. But just recently, I've been wanting to do Shibari. Like, I was just recently in Salvador just before my retreat, and I was staying at a friend's house. And he was getting into the rope tying, and he was practicing. And I was like, oh, my God. Like, I'm also a control freak, right? So I did the BDSM test. I am a switch. Okay. But the few times that I have practiced, the little bit that I've done, I've always been a dom. And I've also had a slave. Now, most recently, I did have an experience where I was a sub, and it was great. I met this guy who was very, very dom, very, very dom, and he was so dom. He put me into that sub role, and it was one of those things which was beautiful because I naturally wanted to go into that. Yep. And I find myself in general when I'm around people. Naturally, my dom side is naturally coming out. And so to have someone who could actually get me into that sub role so easily was breathtaking. Yeah. And it was the most beautiful thing to be able to surrender and let go. And so I know what you're talking about because I'm also used to being in control. I'm used to doing. And so to not have to think and just be and just, okay, I'll follow your directions.
Yeah.
What do you want?
And for somebody who knows, so the way the ropes, there's the art form to it, like a Solomon Abrams, where he's, when he's photographing or he's rigging, and so that's my next journey is rigging, right? And so, because I want to spin like a ballerina in my ropes, right? And so when you are in that moment, to know that the artfulness of the tie is only to help engorge blood flow, so that you are hypersensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And so to have somebody talking you through how they're going to handle you, it's the sexiest thing. And if their voice matches the command, and then you have an agreement about aftercare, then sex just isn't 20 minutes. Sex becomes hours. And then there's food. And I'm telling you right now, eat some sushi off my back. I'm good. You can have it all.
Yeah. And I love the whole aftercare. That is so important. So important.
So we went from baby steps to where you can go.
Right.
As you get your sexual wings. I'm Maleficent at this point. I got my wings on, like when she first put them back on after they cut them off, and she's like, yeah, baby. and my clients are there. So like once you get to the point of truth with me, so even my male clients, even though as we go through spiritual work and we're doing semen retention and edging, and we're teaching different techniques, they see the value of themselves getting right with why they're not going to screw just everything that's walking around, and how that depletes their energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's so beautiful to watch them now, think about how to take a lover, think about how to integrate, their level of therapy in a sense, right? This level of therapy to be able to teach them how to tantrically connect and how to, get honest around what things turn them on, what things don't turn them on.
Yeah.
The 3-minute game, Lucia and I, we did it in our group. We did the consent, and I couldn't believe how many people didn't understand the wheel of consent.
Right.
This is the shit they should be teaching in school.
Right. That's the thing. I mean, the sex education in school, it lacks. It lacks a lot. There's a lot of things they don't teach. And so it's important. It's important, especially for men, like you're saying, men lose so much energy. We got a man on here, Uncle Life, who's just been learning so much. Men, you lose a lot of energy every time you ejaculate. So it's important to take these courses to learn about semen retention, learning how, because you can't just do it on your own. You can't just be like, okay, I'm gonna have sex and not come. Because then you get blue balls and you have all these other issues. But you have to be able to work with that energy. You have to allow that energy to sublime, to move up.
Yep.
So it's important to have someone who can guide you through that, And just going back onto the women real quick.
Yeah.
Just kind of, going back into like your own pleasure. Mm-hmm. For women, you had kind of talked a little bit earlier about just the moistness, the dryness. And it's important, It's important. You can use lube. Like if you don't get wet easily, use lube. I know there's some women, I've never tried this, but there's people, we talked about it last week, that use the THC lube, and apparently that helps them to feel really good. Again, I've never tried it, so I can't recommend, but there's so many different things so that's my point. There's so many different things that you could try and see what you like, what you don't like, what's good for you, what's not good for you.
Lucia got me on Hawthorne Sutil out of Canada. No paraben, really beautiful lube. We almost feel like we're the death of KY. Like we're like, do not use that. Do not go into that is not good lube. Like literally at least go online to a sex shop and then go research lube before you go just pick up. Even Durex has a lube that is not a bad lube. If you don't have anything at all, but before I would buy a KY.
Right.
I haven't gotten to the state, depends on what I'm doing. Especially with anal play or anal sex, I would definitely tell you to make sure you have a good lube. But again, if you're a squirter, I would definitely tell you to have a good lube. But in general, just to get, and some people like to use coconut oil, and I get it from the bacteria thing, but I don't get it in terms of penetration and use of condoms and so like use of different prophylactics and or female condoms and so coconut oil will not sustain. But
And that is important too. Like, yeah, any oil that you use, because I love coconut oil too.
Yeah.
But yeah, any oil that you use, it will break down the condom, and you can end up getting pregnant or catching something. So yes,
that part. So I don't subscribe to that. But I feel like people should always, even when you, especially for toy users, I always say the life. I also learned as I was going through divorce that I was allergic in my yoni to latex. My yoni repelled it. So any toy that we had ever bought during marriage, I saw it as a sign. I had to get rid of. I like my Pyrex dildo. Love it because I can heat it up. I can cool it. That is one of my favorite. Thank you to my best friend ever. He gave them out to all his best friends one year, and he was like, "You girls are getting on my nerves." He just sent us all. And yeah, so I would tell you. And oh, my new toy is the remote, the wireless one. And I just suggest, because I also told this truth in Clubhouse, don't give two people the code. Don't.
So you know, so Lady Hollywood and I met on Clubhouse. So that was nice. We were in few different rooms.
Yeah.
Together several times.
Yeah.
But I kind of been off Clubhouse for some time now.
Yeah, no, I'm not as present as I used to be. There's some like Wednesday is always Wombs Day in the universe, and so I will always be there. And we do the room with all the doctors. So now that we met them on Clubhouse, realize how we infuse the holistic part of our practices with their their research and their medical knowledge. And so now that force, that union, they have actually changed the way they talk to their clients. It has helped them this tremendously. I, Lucia and I standing firm in that room with Lisa, Dr. Shelley, Dr. Maria, Dr. Ann Truong, and Dr. Bill. That room is now a staple. So on Thursday nights, we still do an hour, and an hour and a half. We stay firm to the time. And whoever can make it, and who can't make it, can't make it. We keep the topics, engaged, but it is absolutely an education. And we have to do.
That's beautiful. I know we've had some great conversations on Clubhouse. Anything else that you want to share for any can you give maybe just a couple tips for women or men to harness their pleasure?
For women to harness your pleasure is to get honest about whether or not you even understand what an orgasm is for yourself, and to try to, if you cannot do it on your own and you have someone that works in our field, to help them discover their own orgasm. So especially deliberate orgasm, where there is no penetrative sex, right? And then, and then don't forget your breasts. So your yoni is one thing, but don't, forget that your breasts are important. And massaging them and caressing them and understanding that your nipples help you through that process, right?
And I want to add on to that because I love that, and I'm sure you can even add on. But I just want to add on to that, just that you saying that. I have my yoni massage course coming up. It begins October 18th, and that's one of the things. This is a yoni massage. Currently, I'm teaching lingam massage. Okay. In that course, I teach a full body massage, right? Because you talked about the nerve endings with the fire play, right? But our entire body is orgasmic. Our entire body is one erogenous zone. So, you don't want to just focus on the genitals or just nipples. Those are great areas, but you can get orgasms. I get orgasms from my head, the neck, ears, the feet, my feet. Oh my God. So, so in my yoni massage course, I do teach this full body massage. And of course, it's not only for, people who want to do it on women or those with vulvas, but it's also if you are a vulva owner. It is a good way to learn how to self-explore, to learn how to connect to your body, to learn. In that course, here in Brazil as well, I did learn oming. So I did. So in my yoni massage course, not only do I teach the yoni massage, I teach vaginal mapping, I teach oming, and I teach clitoral mapping. And those are important because it's important for you to be able to see, okay, what traumas do I have and where? And so the mapping is going to help you to see, okay, I'm holding on to anger right here in my yoni. And this is why it feels numb, or this is why it hurts every time, I'm with somebody and they get this angle and it's hurting there. So we hold on to so many emotions inside of the vagina as well as on the clitoris. So I teach all of those things, and it's important for us women to learn how to do this for ourselves, and it's important for our partners to learn how to do on us, right?
Yes.
So Unk Life, like that might be something great for you to learn to do on your wife. It's healing, it's sensual, it's erotic, it's sexual. It's a great gift that you could give to her. So, I definitely recommend that. And that information can be found on my website at prandaraprim.com. And if you follow me on any of my social medias, Instagram at prandaraprim_tantra. I'm on Twitter and Facebook at Renee Adolphi. Patreon, I have a Patreon account that's just really giving tons of information on Tantra. And then I'm on Clubhouse at Prandara Tantra. So Lady Hollywood, what do you have coming up? What would you like to share? Do you have any courses, anything coming up?
So right now I'm taking a break only because I got laryngitis and I have to finish my Frequency of Love EP. I have to finish it. And so I was taking a break. I've been doing interviews, panels, and then we took a pause with the sacred ceremonies I'm going to take a group of the universe to Egypt. So we are getting ready in February to go to Egypt. And then in March, we'll be back for the solstice to do the sacred ceremonies, but we're focusing on the frequency of love and sexuality and intimacy. And so it's going to be divine. So we are excited about that. I am doing small stuff leading up to that, because that is going to be a big one.
So follow her on IG at Lady Hollywood.
Yes.
All right. Follow her on IG. That way you can get the information that's coming up, right? Because it's a little further in the future, but that way you can follow her and you can see when she posts and she tells you about things that's coming up.
Yeah.
Real quick, I do want to also mention, so Unk Life said he's on a 1-month break with his wife, and he's doing the edging and sex magic.
Okay.
And he knows how to orgasm without coming. I think that's so great. I think that's so great. Applause.
Your friends.
Yes, applause. So this has been great. The time flies by so quickly. Like, I can't believe it's already 9:00. It's after 9:00 already. Well, 9:00 here where I'm at. Yes. I'm an hour earlier than EST time.
And I can't wait to get down there and see you. I want to come hang out. So one of these days, I'm charting my course for Brazil and come see you.
I can't wait for you to come here. What? This is great. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining, for participating. Yeah. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. Also hit the like button. If you like this, hit the like button. Let us know. Show us some love. And if you enjoyed this and you learned some stuff, share this with somebody else, because someone else can get something from this. Especially if you got something, share it. Yeah. Okay. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you can see the next time I'm on. I have my live.
That's right. Promote, girl.
Yeah. So remember to follow Lady Hollywood on IG at Lady Hollywood. You have a website as well?
Yep. LadyHolly.com.
Okay. So that's easy. LadyHolly.com. And
my practice is knowthysex.com.
And knowthysex.com. Perfect. And so me again, I'm on IG at prandaraprim_tantra, Twitter and Facebook, Renee Adolphi. Patreon on Sundays, I do self-exploration Sundays, little tips and exercises. Mondays, Monday meditation. Tuesday, Tantric Tuesdays. I am actually going to start sharing, also kind of like doing like a vlog for Patreon only, exclusive, really sharing my my journey, struggles, challenges, what I'm going through. So join my Patreon just to follow my journey and know what I'm going through as a tantric therapist, as a healer, Nice. My website is www.prandaraprim.com, and Clubhouse, I'm at Prandara Tantra. So again, I have my Yoni massage course coming up October 18th. Message me. Let me know if you're interested. I have all of that information on my website as well as my Instagram. And yeah, so thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Uncle Life. This was a pleasure. Thank you once again, Lady Hollywood. I'm seeing Lady Holly, but I'm thinking Lady Hollywood. So now I'm like, my mother's like, which one do I say?
Because there's a young lady who does art who got Lady Holly before I did, and I love her to death. And so everybody is we can share. I used to be at Lady Hollywood, and then I dropped the wood and just stayed as Lady Holly. So that's
okay.
And people say I'm a holiday, so I don't care. It doesn't matter. You can call me Chief Bottle Washer, and I wouldn't care as long as just call me.
Right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Bye. Have a good night.
You as well.